Hello all, it's the Old Geek, and I'm coming to you today from my attic, and I have in front of me a copy of the Dragon magazine on this computer. I have moved to the attic. My recording software is showing a little bit of background noise. I'm hoping it doesn't become too intrusive, and the only issue is when I record these videos, I use a piece of software that records the video and the sound together. They're not broken up into two separate parts. As you may have noticed just then, as a motorbike went past. Hopefully these things don't come through too intrusive. It does appear to be picking up my voice nice and clear, so I may just have to adjust my voice volume. So I don't know. I'm a bit of a newbie when it comes to this. Anyway, let's get into the Dragon. And straight away I can see that the font at the top is awful. This is Dragon 24. I can see Dragon number 2, and it could be a 1, it could be a 4, it's pretty horrible. It's volume 3, number 10, April 1979, still costing $2. So I was still a very small boy when this was released. Let's look at this cover image. Right, this is focusing on Lost Civilizations, a fantasy supplement for Source of the Nile. Hence you have this Middle Eastern, Egyptian type feel, though the source of the Nile isn't in Egypt, is it? Is it in Sudan? Tanzania? Somewhere around there, but certainly African. This gargoyle image in the middle, look, the perspective is out on that. But otherwise, I don't dislike this cover. It's alright. It's alright. It's got enough sort of drama to the way it's composed to make it interesting. Right, so we start off with an advert, the Army of Mugalavia from Ralpatha. Typical low-quality Ralpatha adverts. They get a really good advert spot, the inside cover, and they waste it with mostly white space and bad pictures of their miniatures. Their miniatures were good, as we know, but the adverts aren't. Gen Con adverts, see, that's better. Look. It makes you go, look at me. Boom. Everything you ever wanted in a game convention and more. $10 pre-registration fee before 25th of July. $15 at the door. Prices are starting to go up. Contents page. Is this a new layout on the contents page where they've got the bold effects on the head? I quite like it. I quite like it. Did they change it when they change it? I feel like they've changed it for this issue. Or they've just improved it. Shall we see what Tim Kask has got to say? One of the hardest parts of being an editor is working so far in the future. Whenever an editor talks about next month's issue, he really means the next one on the presses, which is sometimes 2 or 3 calendar months in the future. Right now, as I'm writing this, it's cold, nasty March day. However, I am trying to maintain a spring frame of mind, as this is a spring edition. You begin to see the problems. It's really difficult to maintain a spring-like optimism when it is so... typo. So damed cold. Damed. Damned. Damed. Okay, let's skip on. Let's skip on. I don't know why they don't credit the cover artist there. Lost Civilizations, a fantasy supplement for Source of the Nile by J. Eric Holmes. Famous for Holmes' edition of D&D. Ross Maker and Dave Wesley's exciting Source of the Nile game. I recognise those names now because I've watched most of Secrets of Blackmoor. One of Bear's Discord channel was showing it the other night, and I saw about half of it before I crashed out, went to sleep. I need to watch the other half. Very good, though. Very, very good. Nice to put faces to names. Keeping the magic user in his place. Ronald Pear. That's an unfortunate surname. Ronald grapefruit. Or it could be a different type of pear. Anyone who has borne the honourable title of Dungeon Master for more than 2 games has quickly become aware of the overwhelming power of those practitioners of magic. Too often, expeditions revolve around how many magic users are in the party, and tactics depend on the amount and type of spells. While some of my best friends are wizards, I firmly believe that melees should not be decided by he who casts the first charm. Yeah, I mean, Charm Person is a powerful spell. But magic users have not many hit points and poor armor classes. And if they lose initiative, the spell is spoiled. And so on. So, no. Let the magic user do his thing, because all too often, the fighters get to do their things more and more often. The magic user gets to do his thing, certainly at low levels, once. Second level, twice. That's their thing. The rest of the time, they are, of course, they're getting involved. They're hurling oil and running away. But generally, doing the things that require a bit of intelligence within the party, taking rubbings of inscriptions and trying to work out what magic items are, things like that. That's the magic user's job on an expedition, and of course carrying most of the treasure, because they haven't got to wear armor, so they've got lots of spare encumbrance spaces. But no, magic users come into their own around level 5, don't they? But it's the rest of the party, especially the fighter's job, to protect the magic user early on, because of course if the magic user doesn't get time to get their spells off, then they're stuffed. Party of 4 or 5 first level magic users, if they get a random encounter against 10 orcs, they're dead. Unless they can win initiative and get the hell out of there. Even if they can charm a couple of the orcs. Sleep, on the other hand, but if you got magic magic users with a floating disc, I've only got read languages. That's really good against 10 orcs. Right, give fame and fortune a shot. Write for the dragon. More than ever before, the dragon is in need of writers. Are you literate? Well-experienced gamer? If so, you meet both criteria needed to literacy and experience. You need a bit more than that, though, don't you? You need a bit of creativity, a bit of an inquiring mind, a bit of the ability to put across your point. And you need to be able to come up with new ideas. So, oh, here we are. Yeah, literate doesn't mean a of letters, or a holder. Literate doesn't mean a of letters, a lot of letters, or a holder of a fistful of degrees. Literate means able to express oneself with a certain degree of ease and economy of words in writing. Is that another typo? Slightly ironic if that's in that position in this advert. Right. Need is a wide range of interests. I mean, for example, they're doing a sci-fi issue and I was writing for them. Stuffed. Right. Chinese dragons. Ooh, these appeared in the Fiend Folio, didn't they? I remember I got Module U2. I had no idea what a panlung was. I hadn't got the Fiend Folio at the time. I like them. I like them because they have a certain feel about them, a certain mysticism. They're a big part in Chinese culture. Yeah, but then they appeared in the Fiend Folio. The Tianlong, Shenlong, Lilong, Panlong, Lung Wang. Long Wang. And Yulong. Okay, brilliant. Yeah. Some Darlene art. Is it continued on a later page? Because oh, we've only got pictures of the two. Oh, they've got descriptions of the other ones just above. another look at lycanthropy. Okay, so I'm guessing they haven't really... Oh, the monster manual's out, so you've got the predefined 5 or 6 lycanthropes, were rats, boars, tigers, bears, wolves. 5. Am I missing one? Rats, boars, tigers, bears, wolves, any other were creatures in those early books? No, 5, isn't it? Let me know in the chat if I've forgotten one from the monster manual. Later on, you've got wolf wares, were foxes, jackal wares, and all other interesting things. So, what is this? Is this creating lycanthrope types? Rules for dealing with lycanthropy? Alignment changes? Ability changes? Interesting. Interesting. Helpful little article. Thank you, John Matson. Create your own ready-made lycanthropes. Good. Bats, wolves, bears, tigers. What game is this for? Is it, as previously described in D&D and Blackmoor, any warm-blooded being who is seriously injured by a lycanthrope, say 50%, stands a good chance of becoming of the same type himself? In AD&D, it was only humans, wasn't it? Demi-humans couldn't be lycanthropes. They died. So, is he referring to basic expert Holmes edition D&D? I'm guessing, and Blackmoor. Okay. That, yeah. From what I remember, there weren't exactly the same array of lycanthropes in early D&D as there were in AD&D's monster manual, but of course the monster manual was a crossover product, so not sure. Designers Forum, Roman Military Organization, a Classic Warfare Update by Gary Gygax. Okay, so this is the wargaming. Okay. Excuse me, but I need a vacation. See you next month. No, Phineas almost made it to this issue, but got to us a bit late. He'll be back with us next issue. Sorry for the delay. I don't read Phineas. Don't particularly like Phineas. If there are a lot of cuts in this video, I do apologise because there's quite a lot of thing going on in the background. I've got absolutely no soundproofing where I am. Right. Viking Campaign in the Caspian Sea by James E. Brunner. Looks like it's literature. Fiction. Fiction, I should say. Or is it sort of historical fiction? Could be interesting. Campaigning in the Caspian. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so it looks like it's a historical account, as much as we know of the history of that time. And then you've got a bit afterwards about setting up your own game to recreate those battles. Cool. I've never heard of the Battle of Barda. Might Google that afterwards. The melee in D&D. Some controversy regarding the system of resolving individual battles used in Dungeons & Dragons and somewhat similar advanced Dungeons & Dragons melee system. The meat of D&D is the concept of pure adventure. The challenge of the unknown, facing the unexpected and overcoming all obstacles. At times this requires combat with spell, missile and hand-to-hand fighting. How crucial to the game as a whole is the melee? What part should it play? Is realism an important consideration? Do put the whole matter into perspective, it's necessary to point out there's probably only a small percentage of the whole concerned with possible shortcomings in the melee system. Okay. A wordy way of saying a few people have moaned. Melee is an abstraction. It's nice to have some realistic elements so you feel as though you can better picture it all in your mind. But of course the numbers are abstractions, and what's important for me is that it all goes along most smoothly and gives you an impression in your mind of what's happening, but it doesn't necessarily have to be truly authentic. And I think that's where AD&D and D&D differ a little. D&D, when I played AD&D as a kid, I used basic D&D initiative, and I adopted THACO as quickly as I realised it existed, which was pretty much straight away. Yes, I kept the repeating zeros on the tables, but I had them where they were imprinted in my mind. I didn't use weapon versus armour type. I wish I could have found a way of bringing it in smoothly so it didn't slow down things at the table, but my players really weren't interested in that. I have some curiosity about it nowadays, but again, I like to run things. Most games I run are now online, and pace of play is most important. And thus, at the moment, I'm enjoying running OSE. I'm enjoying playing OSE because it is so fast and smooth. So, defining the it's one of those. Do you need? It's the melee pretty much when the fight kicks off. There's a difference between an overall melee and to be in melee combat, if you know what I mean. An overall melee is just a fight. When you say I'm in melee combat, you think of hand to hand, but it is the overall. All treasure in a dungeon is not measured in gold pieces. Ha ha, lovely ladies. Yes, yes, correct. You know, Wiz, when you said the treasure was guarded, typo, spelling mistake, by 2 fighters, I sort of figured you meant lords or myrmidons or something in that line. Ah, and there's a Spitfire going dagger, 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 dagger. Yeah, okay. I prefer that one. But yeah, I can see the humour in there. So Gygax, his article continues on. Out on a limb. Oh, the letters page is back. What sort of nerd rage is happening at the moment? Each time the Out on the Limb letters column is mentioned, it is stated that character assassination will not be allowed. I'm in full agreement with this. It would drag the publication down to the level of the APA zines. Why then is Gary Gygax, publisher and author of AD&D, allowed to write character assassinations? This could be a spicy letters page. To answer your first question, because he is the publisher. It is the prerogative of any publisher to say whatever he pleases. It is, after all, his magazine. Do practice what you preach, though. Do practice what you preach. I have utmost respect for Gygax and Arneson. They created D&D as we knew it. Without either of them, it would never have happened. They're both responsible in equal measures, and all the people behind them as well. But Gygax didn't always practice what he preached, did he? A lot of respect for the guy, though. I've been back and read a lot of his posts on Dragon's Foot, and it's an interesting read. It's an interesting read. You have to respect the guy for his love of gaming and of his openness to express his thoughts and his imagination. created some great adventures as well. I'm an avid player of D&D, and just last month started a subscription to the Dragon. I did so because it dealt primarily with D&D. It's ironic that the first issue they got was all about historical wargaming. Yes. I think I mentioned that when I read through that one. Not every issue appeals to everybody, and getting the balance of the articles right is quite difficult. So it's one of the pitfalls that comes with a subscription. Dungeon, more variants on the theme. Oh, it's the Dungeon game. Is that Dave McGarry's game? Never played it. Heard lots of things about it. The advert for the International Design Competition. What are we continuing there? What's this one? Doesn't say where it's from. Oh, this is the Dungeon. The Dungeon one continued. Ah! Look! They're not doing a continued on page 46, go back to page 1, whatever, for the rest of this. They're just continuing it on to the next page. With an advert in between, but it's better. Better. Gen Con status report. Troops needed. Ah, it's an advert for a game. Okay. Then this continues there. That's. I don't particularly like the fact that they put this in between, but it's still better. Convention schedule. Great Canadian Games Adventure. On Queen Victoria's birthday, I'll have you know. Thank you, Colony. Guest of honour, Gary Gygax. Becoming a star, Gary. Becoming a star. Armies of the Renaissance. Part 2, the Swiss. The Swiss, yes. Famously stayed neutral in most conflicts. Known for their polearms. The Lucerne hammer. Where is Lake Lucerne? Is it Switzerland? Southern France? Switzerland? I'm going to say it's Switzerland. I think it's Switzerland. But that part of the world, anyway. Three weapons were responsible for the Swiss rise to greatness: the halberd, the pike, and the crossbow. Okay, so there you go, the halberd and the pike. And Lucerne hammer was a variant on the idea of the halberd, really, wasn't it? Instead, it's got a hammer, spiky head, like a pick head, instead of an axe, designed for deforming armour, of course. Narcissistics. Ah, variant humour. Narcissistics. These horrid creatures will scare the most adventurous intellectual out of the foul dungeon these creatures occupy. They will be instantly recognisable to any player of high school age, and possibly even to some of the older members of the D&D clique. Male narcissistics. Jocks. Female narcissistics. Groupies. Move only when picked up by males. Treasure, combs, mirrors, tennis shoes. Treasure. Brushed? You mean brushes? Chewing gum, cheap makeup of your choice. Damage, fingernails, earth-shattering scream. Damage, nausea, 10-foot radius. Verbal harassment. Alignment, chaotic evil. Yeah. Good bit of traditional piss taking. The infamous miscellaneous monster. Frequency. Inevitable. AC, yes. Hit dice varies. Number appearing one or more. Move, usually intelligence, sometimes. Okay. This is the sort of humour I like. Yeah. That's good humour. That's good humour. Psionics Revisited. There's Donald Pear again. Did they ever get psionics in D&D right? I don't know. I've got the Psionics Handbook for 2nd edition. I've never read it. I just bought it because it was cheap on eBay. Still sat there on my shelf. Never read it. I don't know. I played some Dark Sun with a bit of psionics in. Didn't really get the feel. Anyhow. D&D variant. Disease. These charts are designed to provide a method of determining how long it takes for a disease to kill a person and what symptoms are. Fatality interval. How many diseases kill immediately? Okay, it's 1 on a percentile dice. Oh yeah, I mean, the layout of that table, I initially thought it was a D6, but it's percentile. I mean, I like using percentiles because it gives you a nice range, going from immediate all the way up to 10 months. But diseases do tend to have a bit of an incubation period. So, and I would possibly drop those within an hour sort of ones. Number of symptoms. Pain, shortness of breath, paralysis, sensory loss, fever, chills, skin sores. Nice variety, yeah. Use it in your game if you wish. That is what's good about this sort of thing. I like that. Yeah. Yes. Weeping sores. Side effect. Putrid smells. And the inability to sit down for more than about 30 seconds. Oh, here we have a continued from page 4, but thankfully few and far between. This will be the editorial. Right, it's quite a long editorial. It looks like Tim Cass got a bit of verbosity here. And the letters page does continue from page 21. Okay, they've done that. But not as much. It looks like people are bringing their own religion into the letters page here. I'm going to read this one letter here. I've no objection to humour in the pages of The Dragon, but as a born-again Christian and a 4th-degree Knight of Columbus, I must confess that I find precious little humour in Dennis Chapman's variant EPT monster. Were Chapman content to merely poke fun at evangelism, I could perhaps refrain from revulsion. But the article is blatantly anti-Christian. Its publication was, in my view, a serious mistake. I look forward to seeing corrective action taken in the pages of this magazine. I don't want to annoy my viewers, but isn't this what we see now from people on the other side? Do better. Fix your language and all that sort of stuff. I don't like this attitude from either side. I really don't. Grow a pair, grow a sense of humour, and get on with your life. Right, the Bergenhone 77, the Cat's Test of American Armour. Oh, I was thinking armour as in play mail and that sort of stuff. He's talking about tanks. Right, okay. No, fair enough. That's the way my mind thinks. The return of Conan Mail. Yeah, Conan Mail. It's fiction. And they've split this one up. Okay, after I'd said how good it was that they had started getting the articles to flow onto the next page, not splitting them up too much. It's good it's a long magazine, though, because page 39. Dragon is Nice and big and beefy now. Choir practice at the First Church of Lawful Evil Orthodox Ramifications of Alignment. So we've had an advert moaning about jokes about religion, and now we've got Lawrence Schick. Choir practice at the First Church of Lawful Evil Orthodox. Some people have got a sense of humour. Keep it that way. Discussion of alignment to me is always interesting and will never cease to be interesting. I know people take it out of their game. I don't. No. No, 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 no. I love it. Love it. But use it properly. Use it creatively. Use it constructively. Use it for inspiration. It's more a tool for a DM than a player, but it can be helpful for a player. And here we go. Look, descriptions. Deities. Prime deity. And all this sort of thing. Different variants on law. Look, law knowledge, law evolution, law harmony and goodness, law justice and vengeance. That's good. Neutrality, nature. Neutrality, ambition. Neutrality, aesthetics. Neutrality, the four elements. Excellent. Chaos, absolute randomness. Not a fan of that. Chaos, ambition. Chaos, evil and death. Chaos, devolution. Chaos, war. Chaos, life and fertility. Can be chaotic, yes. The sea can be chaotic. The weather, storms. Good. Sort of article I like. Inspiration for the DMs. Naming people and places and things in Petal Phone. Okay, name generator. Again, useful little things here. Good, good. Really good. Feathered. What? What? Featured creature. Feathered. It's awful, isn't it? Okay. Oh, it's contest, right? All winners also receive an extra copy of this issue. So what are these creatures? That looks like is that the Lizard King from Fiend Folio? What is this? It's an art contest. Ah. So they had to draw lizard humanoids. Okay. First place. Oh. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, Lotus only got an honourable mention. Because he's bonkers. Yes. Yeah, lots of different ideas. I like these. I like these. I like this. I think this one. This top one. Carl Merris. Yeah. Good. Nice. Monty Hall and the Best of Freddy. The Adventures of Monty Hall. I don't read this. Sorry, James M. Ward. In Defense of Extraordinary Characters. High-level PCs. Well, right, okay. Okay. I don't like superhero D&D, but I like the journey to become a hero. And you've got to be extraordinary in some way to become an adventurer, to become a player character. You've got to have something different about you in most fantasy games. I mean, Call of Cthulhu, obviously different. Much more normal people put in horrific situations. But the concept of taking on horrific monsters, going into dungeons, that's not something done by ordinary people. But having said that, I'm not a big fan of pushing it into the superhero realm. Keep it grounded, but accept that the players, their characters, are going to be heroes or anti-heroes or whatever. So I think getting the balance right is good there. And he's right there saying that people with more powerful abilities are the most likely to survive to high levels. Yes, that is true. That, in theory. In practice, how many times has that fighter who rolled 18 strength and maximum hit points thought he's invincible, gone charging in, and splat? Whereas the one who's got 12 strength and half hit points hangs back, plays carefully, plays sensibly, plays intelligently. Which one's going to become the hero? The intelligent one. Right, I think that's it. Society for Creative Anachronism. Some you're fighting each other with weapons and armor from different periods. Why not? Why not? I'm going to come back and read this. That's interesting. That's interesting. Most of us watch those channels on YouTube. Your Lindy Pages and your Scalagrims and people like that. Todd's Workshop. They're interesting. Of course, a lot of it's down to personal interpretation. We all have our little biases of what we like and don't like. But when they do the tests, when they show real examples, I love it. Love it. Because I'm a nerd. No, he's not dead, but fighting in armour is tiring. That's the author. Putting on armour takes longer than one melee round. Yes, it does. And you wouldn't be putting armour on over a t-shirt either. You'd have long sleeve things to go on and stuff like that. Cool. Very nice, though. Very nice. Okay. Verdict. Verdict. That is, in my opinion, possibly the best issue of the Dragon so far. Decently presented, less of the chopping of articles between pages, good looking contents page, some genuine humour in there, some interesting articles, yeah, and it's a beefy issue. Look at that, more than 40 pages. Society of Creative Anachronism starts on page 44, so I make that 48 pages. A nice beefy issue. That one's worth the money. I know if you're a sci-fi fan, you might be going, no, sci-fi is this. and for me, as a fantasy fan and someone who likes historical elements of arms and armour and all that sort of juicy stuff, that's great. Really, really good. Best issue so far. Go on, White Dwarf. The gauntlet has been thrown down. I've been the Old Geek. Hope you enjoyed this video. See ya. Hello all, the Old Geek here, and you may notice something a little bit different. I'm in a new location. Now, I can hear quite a bit of background noise. I'm hoping this isn't coming through loud and clear. I may have to run this through a filter afterwards, but we shall see. I can see my voice thing flicking up and down. Well, that's really nice. Helicopter overhead. Thank you, Mr. Helicopter. Now bugger off. Go away. Probably trying to catch dodgy criminals. Someone's nicking cars, in they? Or jumping over hedges. I'm just going to have to sit and wait in my attic without sound deadening for the helicopter to bagger off.